How's it going, everyone? So in this video, if you are joining me, I'm going to be covering the basic analysis for all of the charts that I go through on a weekly basis. So I'm going to be covering the indices, SPY, QQQ, and then I'll be going through a number of different actual tickers. And then I will be taking requests if you are interested in me going over something specific that you guys have in mind. So please feel free to just put it in the chat if you are interested in seeing a specific ticker that I go over. So we'll give it a few more minutes till people start rolling in here, and then we'll get started. I'll start with the overall indices of the market, so SPY and QQQ, just to see where we are and what to expect for the next week. Very important week for the markets in general. So welcome. Go ahead and add my indicators in here. So this is TradingView. For those of you who do not know or are not familiar with it, this is what I use to chart. And this is what most options traders use to chart as well. So highly recommend getting into that. So I will be actually going over several of the tools I use as well. So here's just one of the tools I use, Traditics. It is one of the most advanced artificial intelligence tools out on the market here, and it gives quite a number of key pieces of information. So after I go over the options or the charts and the analysis, then I will cover some of the tools I use that really help me a lot. All right. So we'll start with SPY here. So SPY obviously is the ETF that controls the market, in a sense. So if you're looking for the health of the market, you're going to start by analyzing how SPY looks. So my basic indicators I use, for those who are not familiar, I just have my EMAs. I use a number of different EMAs. I'll use the VWAP for intraday trades. And then I will use mainly the RSI and the stochastics, because you need to have some form of momentum oscillator to understand where the market is. So what do we look at here? The first thing you want to do is you want to look for major trend lines, right? So the major trend support we have here is going to be roughly here. For longer term, you also have one here that's going to be shorter term, right? And that's what I'm looking at most. So one thing you need to understand is EMAs. The importance of EMAs is not that they're just cool lines on a chart. It's because institutional investors who use algorithms to trade will use these EMAs as points of buying and selling. So this is the daily time frame. As you can see here, after that bottom out we had here at 322, you actually have some pretty significant buying pressure, right? And this line right here is the 21 daily EMA. And as you can see, it's being bought up every single time. So you have buying pressure here, and most recently on Friday, we had a big dip, a lot of selling pressure off into the market, and that 21 EMA held perfectly, almost down to the exact cent. And so that is why it's extremely important to focus on these EMAs, because those are going to act as your algorithm buying and selling opportunities. So in a strong uptrend, you're looking to see this is the turning point of the market, from a uptrending market to now a downtrending market. So that 21 EMA on SPY is going to be what I am looking at this week to be my telltale sign that the market is going to be seeing some selling. We did also break this previous uptrend resistance was broken out and used as support, and then now it was broken once more and used as resistance. So this is a pretty significant line here. As far as where I see the market going on this pullback, let's chart out our supports. Obviously, you have this kind of mediocre support here, major support right here. This 364-ish zone, I kind of think of it as a zone and not necessarily just a specific level. I think it's a extremely important level for the market in general. That's where I'm going to expect to see some buying pressure. Same thing on QQQ. You also have the 21 EMA acting as support. Once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times. Down here, 21 EMA act as support once more on QQQ. So once again, this is going to be a sign that I'm using this as essentially, this is going to be my understanding and turning point for how the market's going to be. If we break that 21 EMA on QQQ and SPY, then that's going to be my indication that the selling is going to begin. For QQQ support, similar situation. We have about a 10% retracement here. 3% retracement or so, depending on SPY or QQQ, back down to the 303 level. So that's going to be what I'm looking for as far as support. So we are still on an uptrend technically. Once that 21 EMA is broken, then I will look to have some net short positions. I actually added a VXX position because we are in a pretty significant demand zone down here. VXX is, if you don't know, this is the volatility index. It doesn't exactly track VIX, but it is basically a measure of how concerned people are in the market. It's a measure of out-of-the-money put options. And so VXX is a good opportunity if market volatility is going to come up. You can see holistically the spikes it's had. So like the virus lows we had spiked all the way up to 78. It's been kind of in a downtrend since then, but it looks like we're about to bottom out here for at least a short time period. So I am going to be bullish on VIX, which means I'm bearish on the market, is up until about 24, because that's where the algorithms are selling. All right. So one more thing I want to cover. I just want to go look at futures real quick because they are open. Yeah. As you can see, I have quite a lot of analysis on here. Yeah. So I'll hide that real quick. Same thing, 21 EMA. Perfect bounce twice. So futures, although they are trading right now, are still seeing some buying pressure on this 21 EMA. Once, twice, three. You can see these wicks, actually. They dropped below, but they didn't close below because there's so much buying pressure for this 21 EMA to hold as support. So until that is broken, I urge you not to be too short on the market, right? 21 EMA, and we'll just check the futures as well. So NASDAQ futures are somewhat breaking it right now, not too bit of a concern because it hasn't closed below, obviously. So that's going to be something I'm watching as well. Any questions on this so far? If you guys have any chats or anything, feel free to shoot in if you want to let me look at tickers or anything. All right, so those are the markets holistically. Now these are going to be, I'm going to go over some setups I really like this week. And so what I do to find these setups is I have my weekly watch list. This is going to be almost all of the stocks I trade on a consistent basis. So I have this weekly watch list, and I will run through these pretty quickly just to see if I see anything interesting. I actually have my, so this is Apple. Obviously, if you are a common trader, you know certain stocks control the market more than others. So Apple, Microsoft, where these charts are going to be very important. So as you can see, Microsoft, similar situation, still technically in an uptrend. I like this, let's see, here's the 100 EMA on the daily. That's kind of acting as the support zone for Microsoft, bouncing 3 or 4 times off of that. Broke below here, but I'm a little bit concerned because if you use your oscillators, a little bit bullish, right? Your momentum is bottomed out here, but you still have a bit of selling pressure here. We're going to go over several different setups that I like this week, but it's important to understand that Apple, Microsoft, Google, those are going to control what the indices are doing because there's such a big percentage. So Apple here is almost at that daily uptrend. Daily uptrend support is going to be a huge significant level of support. So if we break that, not a whole lot of support on Apple until this zone here, back at like one top portion, 112, something like that. You do have the 100 EMA right here, 118, but not a whole lot of support on Apple if we do break down here. So that's another key indicator of why I'm technically going to be bearish if we break that 21 EMA on SPY. Adobe also, we are approaching the demand zone. But what I do is I just go through here and look for setups. I'm just browsing through quickly, see if I see anything from my analysis. This is one setup I do like, ATVI, Activision Blizzard. They are a video game maker, Call of Duty. The reason why I like it so much is because it is setting up for another large move. So if you look at it holistically here, you got a big cup and handle kind of formation. Here's the cup, handle, and then the breakout here. So now it's consolidating again for another move. Perfect bull flag here if you go into the 4-hour time frame. just to get a better, or even go to the 1 hour just so you guys can see it better. 1 hour time frame, another perfect bull flag, and it's actually consolidating towards the upper echelon of that bull flag. So when you're looking for bull flag breakouts, you really want to see the actual flag being created, and then you want to see pressure towards the upper echelon or upper edge of that flag. So here you can see touched once, twice, third time almost, but the consolidation, it didn't quite get all the way back here, so that's a very bullish sign. And now it's consolidating here towards the upper channel. So a breakout of this downtrend resistance is going to like signify a pretty substantial move to the upside, right? So ATVI, definitely like that setup this week. Highly recommend watching it to see if we do see a breakout. I could easily see 100 this week if there is a nice breakout there. BA, not touching BA. BABA, not a whole lot there for BABA. There's big reminder if you're new to trading is there's always going to be a setup, but it's whether or not you actually take action on the high probability setups that is the smart thing to do essentially. So I'll go to my setup that I had last week that I called up. I really like actually is Target. So Target is one of those just very, very basic TA standard platforms or standard setups here. So you have, it's just in a cyclical pattern, right? If you use your oscillators, you can see here when your RSI gets to the upper channel, so about 85, you max out and you see some selling pressure. So you have RSI overextend to the upside, selling pressure. RSI overextended, selling pressure. RSI overextended, selling pressure, and so forth. RSI, once again, is very overextended, likely going to see some selling pressure. Also love it because there is the first major support level from market structure is about 180, 185. So you have you have a pretty substantial downside before there's really anything that's going to act as major support. So if you look at the price range, I swung puts, well, actually took profit on them because there was an analyst upgrade. But from a technical perspective, you have about a 7.88% move before you see any substantial buying pressure. You have RSI overextended. It's just kind of the perfect setup, except for the analyst upgrade. Perfect setup here. Target short. It still could be a great short setup. I am actually going to be looking to buy Target long here at 181.27 if we get back to that level. So Target's another a setup I like this week. DraftKings, I know you got a lot of people like DraftKings. Don't necessarily see any setup positions here based off of price action. Not a whole lot. You're still at that downtrend resistance or that uptrend resistance. I thought we were going to break out, but didn't really work out that well. I thought we were going to break out of this level. Did not on Friday. So DOCU, I actually like a short position here on DOCU this week because I am bearish on the market overall if we break that 21 EMA. Because DOCU is just channel trading. It's just your textbook channel trade. Obviously, it has a lot of fundamental potential, but as far as the actual stock, it's just channel trading between this downtrend or this uptrend resistance and uptrend support. Gladly would take a put swing back to that 227-ish level. All right, next one. I actually took a bullish swing on FedEx. And we already cashed out on a FedEx swing once this week. But the reason why I like it is because FedEx was extremely overextended when it got to that 305 level. Absolutely insane. But now it's starting to form a pattern I really like. So I will go down to the hourly time frame so you guys can see. So here it's forming an inverse head and shoulders. So you have the neckline here, shoulder line here, roughly. Left shoulder, right shoulder, head. So it held that support nicely on Friday, closer to the close after that selling pressure. So I actually swung a pretty risky 260 call on FedEx for weeklies next week because I think it's going to have a big move off of this right shoulder. So we'll see. If the market's super red, obviously it's going to not be so well for FedEx, but I like where it is as far as the actual setup so far on this inverse head and shoulders. All right, JKS. This is, if you're not familiar with the stock, this is a solar play. Doesn't really have any fundamental potential as far as like, there's no real reason why it's been so bullish except for Biden's presidency and the whole push for green energy. If we do break this zone here at 57.99, there's literally no support back down to like $35. So this is definitely a play I'm going to watch. It is overextended to the downside, so the momentum is about to cross back up, and RSI is getting to the oversold territory. But this is definitely something I'm going to be watching for more downside. Lululemon. Lululemon is the mecca of white people clothing brands. It's a Max options trading. He's always talking about how it trades like a tech stock, and it really does. So this is a perfect example of a textbook uptrend support. Very bullish pin bar off of that as well, or almost pin bar. Pretty substantial buying pressure here off of that daily uptrend support. Not a whole lot of resistance. There's a little bit of resistance here back at 358, but I don't really mind a bullish swing on Lulu here if the market is not absolutely just terribly weak this week. Back up to that 374 level. I do like Moderna. It was kind of blew me away when it jumped to 178 there. But for the most part, I'm going to be bullish on Moderna. I added some shares to my equity portfolio. It did need a retest. I was expecting it to go back to that retest of the $95 or $100 mark. Didn't quite get there, but it looks like there's a lot more upside potential there. What do you consider when making confirmation on a trade? Yep, absolutely. I will go over that. All right. There's a couple other plays I want to cover. I'm going to cover the meme stocks as well because you guys need to understand that half those meme stocks are not worth getting into. Pinterest, Phillips 66, Peloton. It's a classic here. So Peloton, very, very bearish setup right now. This setup, this like huge, it's almost like a tweezer top, but this doji here, reversal candle, back down to that 9 EMA. The 21 EMA is going to be where you see some buying pressure. Obviously, you have that reversal doji here. You have some buying support here. So I actually like Peloton short here back until 150. That's a $7 move. You're probably saying, well, that's stupid. Well, this is options. Your $7 move is 4.5%. That's gonna make you a nice penny. So if you're short on Peloton, I'd be considering taking profit here at 149. Roku is another example I like short, and you're probably thinking, why would you ever short Roku with how the bull runs? It's like shorting Tesla. But it's all about taking the short position at the opportune time. So on Roku here, first market structure support is right there. There's absolutely no other price action anywhere close to that except for there, right? You have your RSI very overbought. You have your momentum overbought. If you look at relative time in history on this specific stock, every time RSI got into that range of above 70-ish, you've seen some selling pressure. Selling slightly. And because we are so overextended, it's at $408, and it looks like it's about to break that support here if you go down to the hourly time frame here. Yeah. So anything really below, I'd say anything below 402, you're going to see somewhere close to that 363 mark in the next couple weeks. There is a gap to fill down here, so there's going to see some support at 387.59. But there's also going to be a little bit of support there. But yeah, it's definitely got more downside potential right now in the short term than it does in the than upside potential, just based off of the chart itself. I love Roku long term, obviously, but I'm by no means going to be buying into this right now. Shopify, I don't really see anything. Snapchat, a lot of bearish flow on Snapchat. I was actually surprised. So on Traditics, you can actually see the highest call volume change, highest put volume change. Palantir had the most call volume change of the day, and Snap had the most put volume change of the day. Here's the premium. So Caterpillar, highest call volume. Palantir, QCOM, doesn't really surprise me. JKS, that surprises me a little bit. So they're basically, if you guys were here earlier when I was talking about JKS, they're betting on JKS breaking this major support because I think the strike on those were $40. So That's going to be a pretty aggressive downside there if JKS can't hold that support. So I'm going to be watching that this week for sure. Highest call open interest change and highest put open interest change. U.S. oil, so people are shorting oil again. And then GE, this is an energy play. I know they're getting back into the energy sector. So if you are not subscribed to Traditics, highly recommend getting into it because it's just I can't find enough plays on this because it's just amazing. So Palantir, I'll do some TA on that in a second because I am actually in a position on that. All right, let's go back down to the bottom. Neo, if you are in Neo, there's not enough price action to really judge it off of, and there's not enough fundamental analysis as well. It's more of just a bunch of hype. So I do have some Neo shares, but if you're in Neo options, then there's not really anything to base your decisions on. Obviously, the low point, in my opinion, is going to be 39.38. So if it gets back to there, I'll probably play some options. But until then, not necessarily something I want to mess with. Same thing with Shaq. Shaq needs to get shorted. I don't know what is going on with Shaq, but all right, here he goes. Palantir. This is the play I specifically like a lot. Long. If you are familiar with the package software that this company provides, it's quite insane. So we'll go to the 4 hour so you guys can see what I'm talking about. All right. So, if you are unfamiliar with Kathy Woods, she added Palantir to her portfolio of, I think it was ARKX or something like that, which one of her ETFs or funds that she has. But it's forming a pretty aggressive bull flag here. It started out IPO'd in October of 2020, has obviously more than, I guess, tripled since then. Fundamentally, the company has so much potential. Their products are going to be everywhere, I think, in the future. So I took out some 30 calls to be safe, actually, because if you think about a big bull flag like this, the measured move is going to be from your breakout level back to all-time high. So that's a 25% move right there. I will gladly take a 25% move and be $2 in the money and take profit here because you will see some resistance. But I definitely like Palantir long this week. It's not going to move with the market. You have to kind of separate your different stocks between like the IBMs or the Microsofts, the Apples that move with the market. Palantir is not necessarily going to move exactly with the market. So FUBO is another example. I actually do have some call credit spreads, or sorry, some call debit spreads. I do like FUBO. There's a little bit of allegation concerns with their lying to their shareholders. So I would stay away from this. I have a small position. If we break below roughly 31.18, then I'll be a little more concerned because it's going to drop right back to 29.67 and then finally at 26.59. So right now I do like FUBO right here. If we can hold that support, it'd be a nice continuation of the upside. Obviously, it has a lot of potential back up to the 63 area, but there's going to need to be some fundamental backing as to why FUBO needs to be bought. Let's see here. Go back out of here. All right. T is another one we played this week. Had some great gains on T. If you are familiar with T, obviously AT&T has been beaten down a lot compared to its competitors. But obviously I like the dividends. I love T in my equity portfolio because of the dividends and how cheap it is. I added some more shares this week because I think this is going to be the lowest point it ever gets. 28.40 support. I don't think anyone is going to pass up on the dividend yields that T gives relative to what the actual stock costs. All right. Does anyone have any questions on anything? Happy to answer. Or if you guys want me to go over more, I can do pretty much anything. I will cover a few things. You guys should watch my flow video if you haven't, because we go into more depth there. So let me go to my flow algo. Okay, so flow algo. First things first, Tesla came in right at the bell. 9/17/21, 240 days to expiration, 1,700 calls. That is absolutely absurd. $3.1 million in the contracts are $1,000 strike, $1,000 out of the money. That's unreal. So when I'm looking for flow and what I use to play on flow is I'm actually looking for unusual options activity, and not one, these are technically all unusual options activity, right? So I'm looking at the expiration dates, the strikes, and how much for the most part. So let's look here real quick. See if so Riot 1/2/12, 122. Let's find some big premiums real quick. I'm not cherry picking. I'm just doing it for a learning lesson. 483 CCIV. So this is a meme stock. So I would stay away. All right, here's one. Coop 319.21, 320 puts strike. So that's not, the strike's not too far out of the money. Here's another one. Spy Golden Sweep 416.21, 374 puts, 88 days to expiration. Here's another one. This is a pretty aggressive one, actually. 123 days to expiration, 5/21/21. So this is going to help me make plays and decisions. I see this. $282,000. It's a sweep. So that means it's a very aggressive play, and they filled it on multiple exchanges. And the strike is nearly double what. So it's at 27 when they made this. That's a 40, back to a 40. That's quite an aggressive play here. So this is going to help me reaffirm my decision to go with Palantir call swings. So I'm just looking for these for potential setups. I also do have some debit spreads on Zoom. This is also going to help me understand. I'll go over Zoom real quick because I do like Zoom a lot. All right. So when you're looking at Zoom, it is in one of the largest descending triangles of any chart. Or sorry, falling wedge. So here's that falling wedge, and it did have a pretty aggressive breakout here. It came back, retested it. Obviously, there was some selling on Friday, but I really like Zoom on this breakout. If we can maintain this buying pressure, first profit target is going to be 26%, $100 move. I'm swinging some 450, 440 call debit spreads on Zoom. It's like risking 160 to make 900 per contract. So that's a pretty aggressive move. But I use the flow from Flow Algo. So I see 6/18/21, and the contract premiums are about $60 out of the money. $2.5 million sweep. So that's going to be like affirmation that I'm in the right position. So, all right, guys. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments section below. I'm going to be doing this on a regular basis, so I can do some live analysis for you guys. But I really appreciate the support. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and have a great rest of your week.